heart, and then we'll look at the lungs. So starting with the heart, this is going to be the ventral surface, so the part pointing down towards the sternum. Everything back here is going to be on the dorsum of the heart. So to begin with, we have right auricle or right atrium. Then we have right ventricle. We have our interventricular septum, which is going to separate right ventricle from left ventricle. This is where that left coronary artery runs. The right coronary artery is going to run underneath the right atrium. So right coronary, left coronary artery. As we rotate the heart, we have the left auricle or left atrium, and then the left ventricle. We have the apex of the heart, which is the pointed side, what would be the distal end, and then the cranial border up here. This would all be the base of the heart. Okay, if we flip the heart 180 degrees, now we're looking at the back side of the heart. This structure here is the caudal vena cava. This is going to bring blood from everything from distal or caudal to the heart. This large structure here is the esophagus. We can tell it's the esophagus because it's flat. It's also very muscular. We can see we've got multiple rings of muscle. The esophagus is always constricted down unless food is moving through it. Then we have peristalsis movement moving the food through the esophagus. If we lift those up out of the way, we have this opening right here and this opening over here. These are the pulmonary veins. So these are going to bring blood from the lungs back to the left atrium. So these are our oxygenated veins. This structure here is the descending aorta. So this is coming off the aortic arch. This is going to run along the vertebra all the way down the back to the iliac arteries, which is where the aorta actually stops. If we slide the esophagus off to the side, this large tube here, this is the trachea. We can tell it's the trachea because when we look in the top, we can see that it's held open. You can see the actual tracheal rings on the outside here, the cartilaginous rings that hold it open. And there's it's a C-shaped structure because the esophagus is going to sit right along here when it's in the body. So the esophagus is going to sit like that. That's why sometimes when you swallow too big of a bite or you swallow a bunch of air, it kind of takes your breath away because it actually starts putting pressure on that as that peristaltic movement is moving the food down into the esophagus, the esophagus. So we've rotated all the way back around. We're looking at the front side of the heart again. This is our cranial vena cava. So this is bringing blood from the head, neck, and shoulders back to the right atrium. Okay. Then we have the aorta coming up and off of the heart. So this is descending aorta. As we look, we have branches coming up and off. The farthest to the left, this is left subclavian artery branch. Then we have the brachiocephalic branch of the aorta, and that splits into 3 distinct pieces. The farthest right is the right subclavian branch. Then we have the right carotid branch, and then the left carotid branch. So these two here are going to tie into the carotid arteries that we found in the neck, and that is all going to take blood up to the brain, and the jugulars are going to bring that blood back down to the cranial vena cava. So right subclavian, right carotid, left subclavian, or excuse me, left carotid, left subclavian, descending aorta. Right? So that is the structures of the heart. When we look at the lungs, our lungs have we have 4 lung lobes in 2 sets of lungs. On the left-hand side, we have the cranial lung lobe, which is this large one here. And then we have the caudal lung lobe, which is this one here. We can tell it's the cranial lung lobe because it's actually split into 2, or it appears to be split into 2. This is all still the cranial lung lobe. The caudal lung lobe, if we flip it over, you can see the caudal lung lobe has kind of a dish appearance. That's actually where the liver sets and where the stomach can fill with gas. The fundus of the stomach sits right along here. So that is the left lung. When we look at the opening, the trachea is going to come down, and we'll take that trachea apart. We're going to get to a tracheal bifurcation where it splits into the left and the right hand side. Then we come down into the bronchioles, which are smaller tubes, and then we'll get to the actual alveoli themselves, which are little grape clusters. So this is left lung. On the right lung, we have 4 lobes. We have the right cranial lung lobe. We have the right middle lung lobe. We have the right caudal lung lobe. And then we have the accessory lung lobe, which got tore on your guys's. We can tell it's the accessory because there's a groove in it. That groove right there is where the caudal vena cava comes up from the abdomen and runs through the lung tissue as it moves up to the heart. So cranial, middle, caudal, accessory lung lobe of the dog. The last piece that you need to be aware of is this structure here that is separating the thoracic cavity from the abdominal cavity. This muscle, this is all one big sheet of muscle. This is all the diaphragm. Okay, so complete muscle intact. This can be punctured. You can have abdominal content slip up into the thoracic cavity, and we'll talk about that whole process in nursing next semester. With the lungs, how can you tell if a animal was born dead or alive?
Is there a lung?
Not the color.
The lungs have air.
How can I tell if this lung has air in it or not?
If it's flat or not?
Nope.
Heavy or not?
Nope. 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 If I put this lung in a bucket of water,
Oh, if it like floats.
and if it has never had air in it, it will sink. So if the offspring is born alive and took a breath, the lung will float. If the offspring was born dead and never took a breath, the lung will sink into the bucket. That's how you can tell if an animal was born alive or born dead when you get there. The other thing I forgot to mention, this is pericardial sac. This is the thick membranous tissue that sits on the outside of the heart. Very, very thick, strong material, almost impossible to tear. Okay, that is the thoracic anatomy that you need to know. Obviously, it will not be on the quiz on